Welcome to our second episode of the Beatwind podcast. And today we're going to be discussing about the importance of collaboration in the Liberian music industry. And talking about collaboration, I'm going to be focusing on the working relationship between Diaspora Liberian artists and Liberian artists back home. What's really important in working together. So for example, I'm gonna come out with the scenario with MC Caro and Panto. Normally, we see that diaspora artists always complain about support from back home. They don't get adequate support from promoters, from the fans back home, and all that. They don't really engage with their music a lot. But it doesn't mean that they don't make good music out here too. Most of the diaspora artists they make a lot of good music, but when you look at a working relationship between diaspora artists and artists back home is kind of poor. But looking between the past 5 6 years, I think it's getting better now. Maybe for the past 2 years, it's getting better. We've been seeing collaboration. We've been seeing artists, producers, they're working together. But when it comes to promoters and the fan base, there's still a gap that need to be filled. There's still a gap, and majority of the artists out here they consider themselves to be Liberian artists. So once they consider themselves to be Liberian artists, that means they're part of the Liberian music industry as well. So it's really, really important that we give them the support that they need. We give them the same attention that we give to artists back home because they all representing Liberia. They all carrying the name Liberian artists. So let me just jump quick into the importance of working together for diaspora artists and the artists back home. An example, MC Caro and Quanto de Onia international tour. Their very first international tour out here in the US. They've been killing it. They've been killing it. Quanto been killing it, doing his thing. MC Caro been killing it. She been doing her thing as well. And we see that's a boost for the Liberian music industry. It's a boost. It encourage everyone who dream about making music. There's a new level, there's a new dimension for Liberian music. Seeing them killing shows, seeing people turning up, seeing the support they're getting from out here. But it's the same thing happening for artists who going back home. Look at the interaction. Look at the connection between them and the fans back home. It's the same thing happening. I don't think diaspora artists getting the kind of support they need to get. They are not getting the kind of support they're supposed to be getting by now. And when it comes to working together, I see the fact that no artist can make it on his own or on her own to make songs without collaboration. So that's where collaboration come in. You'll see Quanto and MC Gary came here. Most of their shows they couldn't perform alone. They couldn't go on stage and then perform alone. They had to call on stage other diaspora Liberian artists, perform with them, supported them, and they also killed the shows and stuff. They also killed the show, and I really admire the level of understanding and workmanship, between the artists from back home that came here for their show. But we encouraging everybody like the same support should be given, around when diaspora artists go back home. The host they should be able to go back home to host show. They should be able to go back home and do promotion, and everything should be smooth, like the way you see Quanto and Carol out here, and everything going smooth for them. The artists out here, embrace them, welcome them with open arms. They welcome them with open arms, and that's what we want to see in the Liberian music industry. This is what we want to see going forward. That's what we want to see in the Liberian music industry because Mind you, if MC Caro and Quanto came out here and Liberian artists out here was like, hey, nobody back home want to listen to our music, nobody back home want to support our music. So for that reason, you can do your show, but no Liberian artist out here gonna turn up. You know what was gonna be the outcome? The people, even though fans gonna come out to support Caro and Quanto, but you can't do a whole show with only one artist. You can't do a whole show with just Quanto and Caro. You need other people to come around to support. So it's the same thing we want to see happening for other Liberian artists that are out here. We need to create that bridge. We need to get rid of the gap, kind of create a coexistence among everyone to work and make the industry bigger. Because looking at Nigerian, let's look at Nigerian music industry for a little bit. Davido was out here in the US. Davido didn't blow up, because out here in the US, I see most of the artists, they have to work. You can't just, do music full time as a Liberian artist and all that. Excuse me, unless you really grow and you big. But majority of them need to work to be able to sustain that career. So these are things that made most of the artists then leaving, going back to Africa. Davido left America and went back to Africa, and his career took a leap. He was really successful when he moved back to Africa, even though he had the money. But that success came, his music started playing and taking over Africa because he left from America and went back home to do music. So artists back home having more privilege, they having the fan base, they connected to the fan base. But even though everyone, all the artists here cannot leave and go back home, they still need some level of support. They still need some level of flexibility when it comes to promoting with promoters back home. All the promoters back home need support. All the promoters back home need if you can't promote an artist for free from out here, at least create a deal. Create a deal that will be meaningful, that will be reasonable enough, not say rip them off, but create a deal that will be reasonable, that will be meaningful, that they can buy into and they can get the promotion that they need. Everything can be for free, but give them the opportunity, but also do it at a skill in which they will be satisfied, to work with you. Yeah, that's just it. One artist cannot make it. We need to create an industry where everybody can be a part of it. You can't continue building the industry one-sided, but at the end of the day, when artists coming out here, that's the time they need the diaspora artists. That's not going to be happening all the time. When a diaspora artist leave when you go back home, you should be able to get the same support, because at the end of the day, what MC Caro and Quanto started, it's not going to end right now. There are other artists that are going to come here for sure. There are other artists that are going to come in, Liberian artists are going to come here in the US. They're going to kill shows. They're going to make that money, and they will need the support of other artists out here to do it. So that's just my point. That's just my point. The working relationship need to be fluent. The working relationship need to grow between artists in the diaspora and artists back home. Let's create that bridge. Let's fill the gap between even promoters from out here and promoters from back home. Everybody should be on the same page, because we all trying to build an industry. It's the Liberian music industry. So that's just it. Let's just promote our music and then get to the level we want to get as a people.